everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Uncorked Corner. We are excited to have returning guest Mark from Stowe Cider with us today. If you guys recall, we went to visit Stowe Cider, I think almost 2 years ago now, which seems crazy. So we were very excited to have him back on and chat with you about what's going on up there in Vermont.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I'm excited to be back here and to host you folks during the winter months here, which is our peak season and what we live for here in Vermont.
Yeah, I know. I was up there just recently. I think it was 2 weeks ago. It was right before I started my new job on a Tuesday. We had about a foot of powder, I think, that you guys got on a Tuesday. And I went up to Killington. It was like a 3-hour drive from where I am now. But it was so worth it. We spent all day out there. I think it was my first time ever actually getting to snowboard on real powder around here.
Oh,
we don't get a lot
amazing.
of that. But,
yeah, and the beast is great. Yeah, the beast is great down in Killington. They've got some really great terrain, and I don't make it down there often enough, but I know that they got a good amount of snow for that storm.
Yep, it was a lot of fun. But yeah, I love coming up that whole area. There's so many good places to go. And you guys, when we were up in the Stowe area, that's definitely one of our favorite spots. I know you guys do a lot of music and everything. We haven't gotten to see any of that in person, but next time we get up to that area, we're definitely going to come by and hang out with you a little bit more. But what are some of your favorite places to go? You say don't go to Killington a lot, but talk about things to do in the winter. What do you like to do up there in Stowe?
Yes, I mean, here in Stowe, obviously in the winter, it's all about skiing and snowboarding. And, there's a lot of great trails here at Stowe Mountain, but there's so many good mountains here in the state of Vermont. We're really spoiled. Whether you go north, south, east, or west, you can find a great mountain that's got its own great features, whether that's being, the snowboard park, skills park that, Killington has to offer, or the single chair that's at Mad River Glen still. You've got split mountains here at Stowe where you've got Mount Mansfield and Spruce Peak. So a lot of good beginner and advanced terrain and expert terrain here in Stowe. Similar thing happening in Sugarbush, where they've got Mount Lincoln and Mount Ellen right next to each other. So you can spend several days exploring these mountains here in Vermont and still not see it all. It's phenomenal.
If you guys haven't listened to our first episode, not to jump in front of Nick, I just wanted to remind that we'll put the link in the show notes, but when we chatted with Stowe the first time, we kind of covered all of the background on you guys, all your staple ciders, but we wanted to really focus today's episode on kind of what we're talking about, skiing, snowboarding, winter, everything exciting about Stowe, because that's a big part of your brand and the seasonal ciders that you have out. So I just want to make sure that we touch on those while we have you on the call.
Oh, great. Yeah, certainly. Yeah, I mean, it drives a lot of how we operate and live here. And you'll see that through the brand and through the titles of some of the ciders that we create and the flavors or the graphics. It's very much about being outdoors. That's why we live in the Green Mountains, and especially, here at Stowe, we buy ski passes for any employees who are interested. You've got to be able to get through the doldrums of winter and those cold, short days here somehow, and that's through outdoor activity. So, a lot of our team skis and snowboards. Otherwise, they're often out on cross-country skis or snowshoeing. So it's not all about downhill skiing. But when it comes to our ciders, it's certainly one of our most popular tips up. You can't miss that sign when you're getting off the chairlift. And if you do, you've probably gone, ass over tea kettle.
Now, speaking of the seasonal ciders that Bianca brought up, I know you got your rotating track. So which cider do you have out there in distribution right now that's kind of for this season?
Yeah, for this season, it's tuned up all the way. That's one of our favorite ciders to make and consume here. It's around for a few short months throughout the winter. It highlights what we believe to be some of the best seasonal ingredients, and that's going to be cranberry and orange, inside of a dry-based cider. We work, with some bogs in the great state of Massachusetts to source some cranberry and finish it off with just a little bit of orange to round it out. And, if you've seen the graphics of that can, it depicts, Mount Mansfield at its finest. It's got a picture of the gondola headed up to the cliff house, which is kind of a quintessential view when you're at the base of the mountain. And so it depicts, everything that we're about here, essentially November through March. Yep.
That's awesome. So do you find yourself drinking, I know you do mostly the canned cold ciders and hard ciders, but during these winter months when it gets chilly, do you do any hot ciders too?
Yeah, so we have a phenomenal program going right now where we started doing more cocktails inside of our tap room, and we always feature some sort of cider element. We always try to tie it back to the apple, and a bourbon mulled cider is definitely one of the more popular beverages of choice here in our tap room right now.
That sounds like one I'd like. I'm gonna have to try that. That sounds delicious. I'm a big
Yeah,
whiskey fan, so that would be the perfect
nice.
marriage.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, and so we're excited right now. In addition to the tuned up being a great seasonal, it's barrel age season for us. So keep an eye out. We certainly have some barrel age releases coming over the course of the next several weeks and couple months here. The Smuggler's Reserve, our bourbon barrel age. That's I think batch 7. So going back 7 years out of the 8 plus we've been in business, we've released an annual bourbon barrel aged cider. Kind of pays homage to the Smuggler's Notch, which separates Mount Mansfield and Spruce Peak, brings it back to pre-prohibition or actually prohibition time when they were smuggling contraband and some of that being alcohol from Canada down through Vermont and into the more popular populated areas of the Northeast and New England. Smuggler's Notch was a big part of that. So our Smuggler's Reserve is kind of our ode to the Notch here.
That's awesome. And when it comes to these seasonal sort of limited releases, do you distribute those outside the tap room too and get them down to Massachusetts and some of the other states, or are those only available locally?
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on how much quantity we have. We're fortunate to, have a solid fan base here in Vermont, obviously being our home state. And, so if we're able to scale up a recipe and get the ingredients necessary, we'll do that. But we don't sacrifice volume for quality. So, if we can only source the ingredients that we believe to be the best fit for our product, in a certain volume, we'll make that much and sell it to, taproom only or Vermont and then expand from there. When it comes to the seasonals, it's like the rotating tracks and tuned up. Certainly you'll find that in Massachusetts and pretty much throughout all of our network here throughout the Northeast. But the Smuggler's Reserve, that's going to be a taproom exclusive. That's only about 500 gallons or so of product. So you've got to come here, or we're fortunate now to be shipping online. So, one of the things that we pivoted to early on in the pandemic was shipping our ciders. And so we've got 38 states that we ship to. And with that, first come is going to be our Golden Apple Club. So I think we're up to about 150 members now of people who subscribe to our quarterly shipments. And so those are going to be the folks that kind of get the first crack at some of those hard to get ciders.
Very nice.
Yeah, and speaking of the tap room, Nick and I had the opportunity to visit, which we loved. It's such a cool spot. You guys have done a great job with the space, but you always have things going on there. So, of course, this time of year where a lot of people are coming up to Stowe or people are going to Vermont to ski, what are some of the things that you have happening in your tap room this time of year? Is there anything exciting that you have happening or anything that we can look forward to for the next couple of months?
Yeah, certainly. As everybody is well aware and experiencing as well as we are, it's been a roller coaster over the course of the last year and a half in terms of planning events. Can we have people inside or not? And I feel like we've gotten to a point here in Stowe where we're keeping things active but safe and consistent. And so right now our consistency is within our 4 days of the week. On Thursdays, we're doing open mic. We've got a phenomenal leader for that, Brian Levin. He's a local hero when it comes to music here. Always has extra guitars. We've got comedians getting up there. He'll play so you can sing. So it's almost like a live karaoke for some folks. And so that's been really fun on Thursday nights. Friday, we're just picking up music again. We've got a local friend, Ryan Sweezy, for the month of February, but then jumping into a jazz night with potentially some oysters and things of that nature on Fridays. Saturday, it's a running tradition of 3 or 4 years now, Cider Saturday. So 4 to 7 operate times. Stowe Cider is definitely the place to be. Free live music during that time, and something that I would not recommend missing if you're up here. Just the energy is phenomenal. And then Sundays, newly added is our brunch. And so from 12 to 3, We're doing a brunch, mostly featuring Zach Nugent, who's, a Grateful Dead and Jerry Garcia enthusiast there and phenomenal, and partnered up with our friends Stowe Sandwich down the road, who are doing some breakfast stuff, some hot sandwiches, and pair that with a delicious Bloody Mary or a cider cocktail, and you're off to the races.
Very cool. Now, we got a big event coming up. So for people into skiing and snowboarding, the Olympics are here. So do you spend a lot of time, or do you get any watching of that stuff? Is that something that you make kind of priority to make sure you're watching when the big events are out?
Yeah, it certainly is. We want to support that. This town was founded on skiing and sports skiing and downhill. We've got a lot of big ski racing history here in Stowe and definitely Vermont, and Cochrane's, which is just down the road, is known for grooming Olympic skiers. And so there's definitely a history here in Vermont. It's something we watch very closely. And I think as we kind of get underway, we might even be projecting some of that here in our tap room.
Nice. And what would be, if you had to pick your favorite event to watch in the Winter Olympics? Doesn't have to be skiing or snowboarding too. If you want to say curling, you can say curling.
I think curling is pretty cool.
Curling's very cool. I think it's more fun to play than to watch, but it is interesting to see what they can do. I mean, I am just blown away constantly by big air. I think when I started my career in winter sports, it was snowboarding, and I don't know why, because I'm a hockey player and so I'm used to 2 feet. But I thought, hey, I'm going to give snowboarding a try, and that was fairly short-lived, but I'm still just so impressed on what people can do with 2 feet locked into one board and surface there, and how much air and to land it is unbelievable. And props to skiers and all the other athletes out there, but something about the big air and the half pipe on a snowboard is wow, a lot of credit there.
Yep, I was just watching I watched a lot of the X Games recently, and some of the stuff they had going on, especially the newer guys, like the Hiranos, the 2 guys, the brothers out of Japan. The air that they were coming out and some of the things that they were throwing down out there in the half pipe were unbelievable. It was so crazy.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. And I think it's, and it even kind of goes back to Shaun White several years ago and seeing him back, but they don't ever stop. Even though when they know they have first place, they're going to go on that last run and they're going to give it everything they've got and try tricks they've never tried before. And I think, some of that is fairly unique to the mentality of snowboarders. So I've got to tip my hat to them for sure.
Is curling something that you said that you've done it, right? So is that something that people do more often in Vermont? Because I swear there's nowhere that you can even try it. They just started doing it in Boston, but I have not seen it anywhere else in Massachusetts. It's like a rare thing.
Yeah, no, it's definitely more popular just north of the border. I know there's a lot of places in Canada. My cousins and I have a set that we bust out in the wintertime on the pond in the lakes, but there isn't any official curling happening here. But I was thinking maybe not obviously this year, but next year we've got a nice outdoor space that a little rink or a curling setup might be pretty neat.
That would be a lot of fun. That does seem like one of those sports that would be a lot of fun. And I enjoy watching it too. Just the intensity that they have. And it's just the suspense of the stones slowly moving towards the circle. What's going to happen? But I enjoy watching it. But I've always thought that would be a fun one to try playing.
Oh, definitely. And then broom ball, if you haven't done that, for those who might not be the best ice skaters, throw on some sneakers. You can still get on the ice, throw a ball and a couple brooms. And that's a lot of fun. We've sponsored that up at Spruce Peak in Stowe here a couple seasons ago, and that was a lot of fun getting a group out on the ice that way.
So of all the mountains, when you go out there to go do some snowboarding yourself, which one's your favorite in your local area, if you had?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say Mount Mansfield, Stowe. Yeah, it's 15 minutes from my house essentially. I'm going to go in about 30 minutes with my 4-year-old to enjoy this bluebird day that we have. But it's definitely Mount Mansfield. I think just the diversity of terrain. You've got the highest peak here in the state of Vermont. So you've got some really great double black diamonds as you get up towards the top. But I can bring my 4-year-old and hit the greens and the blues, with confidence and train him and teach him, the safe way to do it, the right way to do it, to get in and out of the trees. If that's what he's really into right now. I'm surprised at 4 years old. I don't think I was doing that. But he's like, well, Dad, are there any jumps or, where can we go in the woods? And so we're going to go up to the Meadow Quad today and get in and out of the trees a little bit.
An ambitious 4-year-old.
I give him a lot of credit because I was up at Killington a couple weeks ago going in and out of the trees, and it was not pretty. So it's good to
I
start
can't even
early.
imagine. So
Yeah.
good for you guys.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And I'm sure there's plenty of things like with those little progression parks and things like it probably have a ton of fun on small boxes and things like that. And when you start early, I feel like you don't have the same fear as you do when you're older and more brittle. You have
That's
that.
right.
Yeah. You kind of made
exactly
of rubber.
right.
You'll just go for it. So it's fun. But you
Yeah,
always
if I have
see.
any advice, yeah, for any parents out there with their kids, it's all about the hot chocolate and the French fries to start. To make sure, that they're getting something in their belly afterwards, and they'll be hooked. And here at Stowe, at the top of the gondola ride, there's a Waffle House, and they do chocolate covered waffles and hot chocolate and things of that nature. I didn't tell my kids they were up there, but they made it to the top of Mount Mansfield, with their own confidence. And they were, absolutely rewarded with a hot waffle covered in chocolate sauce. And so,
nothing beats a ski mountain waffle.
Yeah.
Yep. So Bianca has a young one on the way too, and I told her we're definitely going to get her snowboarding once she's up. And
I'm a skier, so we're this is like a debate.
Yeah, but Paul's a snowboarder.
It's true.
So it's two. And I just got my girlfriend, she got her first snowboard. So she started.
Cool.
She did a little snow skiing when she was younger, but kind of 10 years later, out of the blue, she wanted to try snowboarding. She could get out there with us. So she's doing that. And then we just got my little sister on a snowboard too. And Ava, if you're listening to this before it's out, happy birthday. You got a new snowboard coming for you. I don't know if she'll know by it. She's already been on it. It was the one that she was trying recently, but yeah, I'm converting everyone I can. I want more friends up there in the mountains. So
good. Well, yeah, I mean, you just mentioned the X Games, and so you probably saw Jack Matrani there. He's the local here, so he's got a young one who I think is probably only about a year and a half. I think her name is Willa, but yeah, I see them over at the Magic Carpet typically on the weekdays and sometimes on the weekends, and so there's a solid contingency of snowboarders here too.
Yeah, I'm just hoping we get more powder because ice is no fun for me. I just
no.
I was out there we went to Loon the other day, and it was beautiful. The first part of the day, it was nice and warm. It hit like 3:00. It was getting towards that tail end, and it just once that wind gets going, it just turns to straight ice on some of the steeper runs. So not fun.
Yeah.
So hoping for more of that powder.
You got to be careful. We call it dust on crust. You think you're good. You think you've got good snow, and then you hit the dust goes away and you hit the crust, and that's when injuries happen, especially when you get to our age, right?
I was bummed because I spent 4 hours shoveling on Saturday. We got probably about 2 feet here and drove up to Loon on Sunday, and I don't think they got anything. And maybe an inch or two.
Send it up here. You guys are hogging all the snow, Hopefully in the next couple of days, there seems to be a system coming across. It was originally 6 to 12. It's supposed to be 12 to 18 now. So hopefully that stays true, and we're riding the powder in the next couple of days here.
Oh yeah, definitely be taking a trip for that.
You said Mansfield was your favorite. So that special limited release that you had come out around the holidays, can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because that seemed pretty interesting. You were making that with grape skins, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so this is our third iteration of Mansfield. It is our ode and recognition to the tallest peak in Vermont, which is right in our backyard here in Stowe. So it's part of Stowe Resort. And so we figured what better way to honor the biggest mountain than with the biggest bottle of cider we could create, which is a Magnum. So it's essentially 2 wine bottles or 1.5 liters. That is method champenois. So we create a product, and essentially it conditions within the bottle. It's a form of bottle conditioning, popular for the process of champagne. And so through the fermentation happens, and then you put the bottles in a riddling rack. So any of the organics or the yeast float to the bottom into the neck. And then when the process is done, you freeze off the neck of the bottle, and you go through a process called disgorging. So when it's frozen, you open the bottle. The pressure from inside, from the carbonation, pushes the plug out, which is the yeast and the organics, and you stop it and then cap it. You cork it. And so that's essentially how you create the method champenois. And so it's a fun project for us that we do every year. And so the first year was our version of a high and dry with a higher alcohol. Then we did last year, it was a cranberry version, and we released it around Thanksgiving. And then this most recent year, we brought it back to a New Year's release around that time, the holidays, which was a co-ferment with red wine grape skins. And so it's got a nice balance between apple and grape wine, and perfect for sharing around the holidays for sure.
So how long, when you have these limited ones out there, how long do you typically have them before you release kind of the next one?
Yeah, so we're it's when things open up within the production schedule and us taking advantage of ingredients. And so we have a whole kind of philosophy that I like to call from waste to taste, and that's where these grape skins come from. For example, it's like, oh wow, cool, we can get these grape skins that are normally going to go to the compost, right? They're going to get tossed, they're going to be waste, right? And so rather than waste those, there's so much good flavor in there, let's turn that to taste. And so it's kind of a program we have in-house, from waste to taste. We work with several farms, several other beverage manufacturers. An example would be Run Amok Maple. They've got a lot of infused maple syrup flavors, and so I think it started off, they reached out, or I might have reached out to them. I don't remember how it went down, but they had some maple soaked ginger, and I was like, wow, let's add that to our shandy and do like a maple ginger shandy, and it was phenomenal. And so we have a really good relationship with them now, where we're getting maple infused and soaked products like maple vanilla and cinnamon, where we mix it with bourbon barrel aged products. We team up with our friends at Caledonia Spirits every year for our gin and juice, which takes their post distillation gin botanicals, their juniper berries. Normally those hit the compost, but it's like, hey, there's a little alcohol on those and still some good flavors. So send them down the road, and we'll put them to good use. And we put them into our cider. And so anyway, that's it's about kind of seizing those opportunities for
That's
us,
awesome.
more than sticking to a hard schedule.
Yeah, no, that's the best way to do it, because then you can take advantage of those sort of off-cycle ingredients when they're fresh.
Yep.
And funny you mentioned, Run Amok actually was on our podcast. We brought them on. So I don't know, Bianca, do you have the ginger maple syrup there, or did I have it? I think you had that one.
I have the ginger infused
You have
syrup.
the ginger.
They are delicious.
They have some great maple syrup.
Yeah, my kids love it. I mean, they've got some that has glitter in it. I don't know if you've seen that, but
we had some of that one too.
You did?
Yep.
Yeah, they're pretty interesting. I mean, it blew my kids' mind, and anyway, they had a happy New Year's Day with some glitter maple syrup.
That's awesome. But yeah, great stuff. And I can definitely see that going well with the ciders that you guys make. So yeah, when it comes to, I guess, planning, I guess you said you have a relationship with local farms. I'm just thinking, how do you know what's gonna make a good cider? Is a lot of it trial and error? Like grape skin is something, it's got a history of being, they turned into drinks, but something a little bit off like that, the maple soaked ginger, like how do you know that's gonna come out to be a good cider?
You don't. I think you just trust the instinct. I take a lot of inspiration from cocktails, from food. I enjoy cooking. I enjoy mixing drinks, and I like to kind of bring those elements and concepts to the cider making side of things. And so, whenever I'm out to eat, looking over the cocktail menu for inspiration, or looking at foods that, pair really well together, and what some of those seasonings might be, and especially when you get into herbs and compotes and things of that nature, so you can kind of see how these fruits and herbs are playing well together. Definitely drawing inspiration from those, and then bringing it into cider. And one of the things I teach our cider makers and cellar team here first is you can't take it out. And so it's kind of always starting with subtle flavors, letting the apple always be a part of the show is really important to us. Sometimes with the brainwaves, maybe it gets a little lost, when you're putting peanut butter and jelly inside, but I think it's you can't take it out. Start slow, don't go too far, build the flavors, in a logical way, to highlight the ingredients. Don't just, kind of dump it in or go crazy when it comes to these infusion or aging process. because you can't go backwards. So you can always build more layers on,
Right.
as you're adding more seasoning as a chef, needs more salt and pepper. Don't throw the whole bag on and then see how you can fix it.
Yeah, one of our favorite parts about your cider in particular is I think you do things very different. There's so many cool flavors. The bottling is different, the canning is different, your logos and your can designs are awesome. So that's one of our favorite parts about Stowe. And I think obviously the flavor is fantastic, but it's so unique compared to some other ciders that we've tried. We love cider. It's definitely a fall winter focus for us. I think I drink it less in the summer, but there are some very cool fruity flavors that you can get in the summertime too.
Well, one, for example, last time we tried from you is the margarita, the
Yeah.
Sidra margarita. Yeah, that was awesome. That was a fun one to drink, and that was definitely summery. But yeah, that, and I definitely encourage people that are listening to take advantage of that Golden Apple Club if they can, to get some of those limited releases, because they really are cool. And I remember last time you were on, it was like not quite released yet. I think you gave us a little sneak peek about it right before, but it's definitely something to take advantage of, because you guys do make some really cool stuff and stuff that you aren't just going to find on the shelf everywhere.
That's right. Well, thank you. Yeah, we appreciate that. We're just always looking to kind of, explore new boundaries and new opportunities, and just continue to have fun and push the envelope wherever possible. That's what gets us excited, is making sure no two days are the same.
For anyone who's like me, who's listening and can't drink booze at the moment, I also love your fresh press. And I was just looking on the website because I don't think a lot of places around me anyway, carry a lot of your product line. So I might be placing an order for some of those non-alcoholic options.
Yeah,
It's
awesome. Well,
many.
congratulations, by the way. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And so, yeah, the fresh press we're really excited about. We're playing with some seasonal flavors there too. I mean, we always have our standard apple. That's all it is. It is fresh pressed apple cider blended with sparkling water. So it keeps that really fresh apple taste, but brings down the calorie count, brings down the sugar count, which, who can't go wrong there, but still maintains that fresh, fruit profile. We've got the cran apple going on now. And then we've got the fresh squeeze, the lemon flavor in the summertime for the more, for the hotter months.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming back on and talking with us. I can't wait to get back up there, do some snowboarding, and come and hang out and have some cider and some live music or some open mic nights there.
No, that sounds great. We'll definitely keep us posted when you do. I'd love to hit the mountain with you and share some of these limited release ciders. So thank you, Nick and Bianca, for having me in Stowe Cider, and best of luck and enjoy the snow.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Take care.